Welcome to the Backyard Blitz. It's Wednesday, August 17th, man. Almost said 18th. I'm Brandon Peebler. Follow me at the Peeps22 on Twitter. We got Coach Daly in the house, Andrew Daly. Follow him at Coach Daly 12. And we got Coach Rickie Simmons in the house. Follow him at rsimmons2715. What's up, boys?
What up, BP? I tell you what, that new intro, man, it gets me ready to play, man. I'm ready to strap up the old helmet and, well, I don't think the shoulder pads fit anymore, but the jersey definitely doesn't fit, but that intro gets me ready to go, brother.
Fit a little tight. Right up in there. Slick, you guys. A little tight. You guys start up this week, right?
Yes, sir. Kickoff Classic Friday against Tampa Catholic, which is a pretty known program in the state of Florida. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Our boys been working hard from spring throughout the summer, fall camp. I'm excited.
That's awesome, man. Get back out there and get the juices going.
Yes, sir.
Drew, you got some football action going on this weekend. What do you're working?
Yeah,
for the
well,
schools here?
I stepped down from head coach, but I'm still working closely with the team. I do security at the school, so I've been around for all the practices and stuff. They open up. They got their first scrimmage tomorrow, and then South Jersey kicks off next Friday night. So, getting back in the swing of things, man. Football season's here. Summer's over. For us that work in the educational system, man. The break's almost over, so it's exciting times, bro. For sure.
Florida, our break is over. We're back in school.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's getting back in there. My daughter, she goes into kindergarten next week, so I'm excited for that. But we're here to talk about some football, and we had a lot of action going on. Preseason week 1 took place last week. What stood out to you guys? There's a lot of action that was going on. There was a lot of players that we've been waiting all, off season to talk about. And then we got to see them in action with their new teams. We'll start with you, Coach Drew. What stood out to you the most?
First of all, I just want to say that I was excited to be able to watch a full slate of football, even though it was, preseason for what it's worth. It's good to have something back on the television that's live and we're good to go here and through February, so that's exciting. Dude, I was watching a couple games, on the NFL Network, and a couple guys stood out to me, mostly young guys that I'll touch on a few. One veteran though. First off, though, I want to touch on the Detroit Lions first round pick, man, Aiden Hutchinson.
I know.
Dude, he didn't play a whole lot. I think he played maybe 10 or 11 snaps, but for the time that he was in there, man, he was dominant. He had a tackle for loss. He had a holding penalty called against him. He drew a couple double teams. I'm thinking that the Lions got a good one here on the front. I'm excited about watching him and seeing what he's going to do. I know we talk about the Lions; they don't have a whole lot going for them, but I think that head coach has got the team heading in the right direction.
Oh, Dan Campbell, baby!
Yeah,
You've been watching Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Oh, I got to catch up.
It doesn't matter if you got one ass cheek and 3 toes. We're gonna get after you. That's what he says, man. He's a psychopath, but I like him.
He's an old school guy. The other one that kind of surprised me, man, and I self-admittedly I wasn't high on this guy coming out, and I'm not going to say that I'm still high on him, but I watched Malik Willis play for the Titans every snap. He played the whole first half, and he came out and played a drive in the second half. And I'm not going to say he looked great, but he definitely looked better than I thought he would transition to the NFL. He made a lot of nice plays with his feet. He's definitely quick to run. His accuracy is still a question, in my opinion. I think he missed a couple wide open guys, but he hit a nice deep ball. He showed good zip, good pocket presence. So I don't know. I know the Titans got their guy, but he'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Another guy, Homer. Me being a Homer, I'm not going to say I'm an Eagles fan, but I keep an eye on the Eagles, dude.
I feel like you're creeping that way, like every week.
Jalen Hurts came out. And had a good game. I know, it was against the Jets, but he came out. He had a perfect passer rating. Didn't throw an incompletion. had a touchdown. And I think here in the Philadelphia region, man, the fans are still kind of 50-50 on this guy, whether he could be the guy of the future for whatever reason that might be. Some people love him, some people hate him and don't believe in him. But dude, this is the kind of performances that he's got to keep having coming out, even in the preseason, in order to win over the fan base, I think.
Yeah, my neighbor, he's a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he fits the mold of an Eagles fan to the T. Like, every time I talk to him about his team, and he's all over Jalen Hurts. I don't know if he's the guy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, he's progressing. Like, he looks, like he's not a guy that's going to go out and throw for 6,000 yards, but he can move with his legs. He throws some touchdowns, and he's learning. So I like it. What stood out to you, Slick?
For me, I was just happy to see football back on the television. I understand it's preseason, so I don't really get caught up into the whole, we got this draft guy, we got this draft guy, we got this pick, because in reality, you really don't get to see much of them, especially if they're a guy. You really don't get to see much of them. You get to see spurts and splashes, but you really don't get to see the whole body of work within the whole 4-quarter game to be able to say yes, no, maybe so. But I will agree with you, Drew. Willis did have some splash plays. You can definitely tell that he needs work in the NFL system. You can definitely tell he made some plays with his feet, but as far as accuracy, I will say he definitely needs to continue to progress and get work.
No question about that.
Who are we just talking about?
Malik Willis?
No, not Willis.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen
Hurts. So Hurts, the same thing I've been saying about Lamar Jackson. He finally has a number one receiver. It changes the game, especially for a mobile quarterback. It changes the game. When you have a number one guy that you can depend on and he's going to win 95% of his matchups, and he's going to be where you expect him to be, it changes the game.
Rick, who's the number one receiver?
For the
Eagles? Brown? Yeah. You talking about Brown or you talking about Devontae Smith?
I'm talking about Brown.
Oh, you don't think Devontae Smith is number one receiver potential?
I don't think it.
No, I think he showed spurts last year, blowing the top off and being able to get open.
He's fast.
I think it's he's stature.
Open, but in reality, Devontae Smith is a slot receiver. They moved him to the outside because all the other receivers they had were smaller than him.
Right.
And he was fast.
It's tough.
But now that you have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith is a true number 2 slot receiver. He's a mismatch for either a down safety, rover, whatever you want to consider him as, or linebacker. Outside, maybe backside one-on-one by itself. But as far as like a 2x2 or anything where he has another slot guy with, I like him in the slot.
I don't know, man. I think that was a hot take. You're gonna make a lot of people mad with saying Devontae Smith is a solid number 2, because a lot of people in this Philly region,
when he was in Bama, Bama, he didn't become a number 1 until the number 1s left and went to the NFL. Damn. And he had 2 number 2s, which is Waddle and Michi. Those are slot guys. He was a taller guy, faster, so you can put him on the outside. And you had a potent run game.
I got you. I hear you.
I think if they didn't feel like, if they felt like Devonta Smith was a true number 1, then why did they go get AJ Brown?
Exactly.
That's my thing.
Because their next guy is bagging groceries somewhere. Because they don't have
everybody after Devontae Smith are true slots. They're number 2s or number 3s. That's what I'm saying. Like,
they don't. That's a team that could use some still. I think help.
Nice.
Well, not even that. I think you got Brown, you got Smith, but there's not much behind that either. Too.
No,
like a good number.
You got role guys. I guess,
like that's it. Dallas Goedert,
Yeah,
absolutely. He did well for them, but
I guess we'll talk more about
guys.
Them,
when we get into the NFC finally in a couple weeks here.
Oh, I know. I'm excited for the NFC. I'm an NFC guy, obviously. I'm going to talk about, obviously, Trey Lance had a really good showing, but I want to talk a little bit more about Jordan Love, because he was out there for a full half. He threw the ball 24 times. The dude threw 3 picks. This is a guy that they brought in, I believe it was 12th overall. to replace Aaron Rodgers. He hasn't had a lot of play time. He comes in and everybody wants to see what he's going to look like. He throws 3 picks, and I'll give it to him that not every one of them was on him. There was one that went right off the receiver's chest, bounced straight up in the air, and was intercepted. But he didn't help himself. I mean, he was 13 of 24 for 176. He did throw 2 tutties, but 3 interceptions was rough. That was one of my biggest takeaways. Drew, Malik Willis looked great. I liked the way that he was using his legs. I think that's no surprise, but in college, I felt like he relied on him a lot, but it was nice to be able to see him do it at the pro level and that it worked. I mean, he ran for a touchdown. I think that was key. And then obviously the big one in that Eagles-Jets game wasn't necessarily Jalen Hurts. His performance got overshadowed by a specific injury that happened to Zach Wilson when it looked like that he tore his ACL. That was a scary moment. My immediate thought was, oh, that really sucks for the kid. But then it opens up a place for potentially Jimmy Garoppolo to go because he's kind of been stuck in limbo.
Well, that's what we were talking about when it first happened. Yeah,
when it first happened. Yeah.
And everybody was thinking ACL when it first happened, and then you had mentioned, Garoppolo, opening the door for Garoppolo, but that door has closed. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was a non-contact injury, and it didn't when they showed the replay, it didn't buckle all the way. So I was like, I don't know. They all look different, but non-contact usually is a sure sign that, hey, something big kind of happened.
Yeah.
But as they took more of a look at him, there was mixed reports. At first, people were saying, oh, it's ACL for sure. I know that all 3 of us were texting when that happened. Oh, I'm hearing ACL. I'm hearing some other things. And all of a sudden, by the end of the game, it turned out to be meniscus potentially. And then they finally got the word on that. And we'll have an update on him later. But that was really the big news that came out of the preseason week 1. But it was crazy. And John Kabasi, I have these stats up right here, bro. He was 13 of 24 for 176, not 16-24. Quit padding those stats to your Packers, man. Get out of here.
Yeah, Kabasi. Get out of here, Kabasi.
Nice.
Put some mustard on it, Kabasi.
Hey, he loves those Packers, man, and which means he hates my Niners because, we've kind of been their daddy for a little while. All right, I want to talk to you guys about something. This was kind of a topic that came out yesterday. So Coach Brandon Staley, in this article with The Athletic, it came out that we all know last year he went for it more than any coach in the NFL by a lot. Okay. By a lot when it comes to 4th down. And a lot of them were in some big situations. Okay. So I just want to kind of go over, this is one of the things that caught my eye when I read the article, and I want to talk to you guys about 4th down. I have my thoughts on it, but you guys are, Coach Drew, you've been in it last year as a head coach, Coach Rick, you guys, you're going out there this Friday. So Staley talks about analytics, and he brings in analytics a ton when it comes to his decision making. And really what it comes down to is that they have different models of win probability models from the Chargers research department. And it really indicates a number of different things. And the way they kind of go about it, I'm going to break it down. What it says here in this article is that they need to know, they have a model for how many yards they need to get on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down for a go for it situation or a green in the team's lexicon decision-making process. Okay. So this is something that they're doing throughout the game. And this has to do with score, has to do, where their position is on the field, the time it is in the game, and even the game plan going into that week. So they do this on a weekly basis of having these analytic models on a drive to drive situation. So an example of this, and this is right here in the article here from The Athletic, say the Chargers have a 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line, and say the model indicates that it would increase their win probability by going for it on 4th down as long as they have 4 or fewer yards to gain. So that information is communicated to all relevant parties, which in this situation is 6 coaches. There's 6 coaches that have that. That information is included to Lombardi, their offensive coordinator. Lombardi then calls plays on 1st, 2nd, 3rd down, knowing that if he gets to a 4th and 4 or less, the Chargers are going to go for it unless Coach Brandon Staley says otherwise. He did say in the article right here, it says you can be a better decision maker if you have things modeled ahead of time. You have to go into the game with the plan, and then the way that you're saying no, or as opposed to deciding yes or no, I'm going into saying we're going to do this unless this happens. So I wanted to talk about it with you guys. As far as you guys have been in there, we've all coached at some level. I've coached, Drew, Rick, you guys all have coached. We've had to make that decision. Brandon Staley relies a lot on analytics, and there's some coaches out there. There's one coach that was on, I think it was at ESPN 30 for 30. He refuses to punt ever, and he goes for it every single time, and he onside kicks it every single time because
that was the high school coach. He's at the college now.
Yeah, and he does it every single time. So do you guys like that analytics that goes into it? And Coach Rick, I'm going to start with you. What do you feel that goes into it? Like, how do you go about making that decision, or your head coach about how he goes about that decision? Are you in favor of the analytics, or do you think that it should be more of a feel thing?
Yeah, for me, it's not really analytics. For me, it's based off of football, down the distance. If it's 4th and 20, of course, I'm not going for it. I'm going to punt the ball. If it's 4th and 15, I'm probably going to punt the ball. But at the end of the day, we do go through scripts, or we go through preparation throughout the week to put ourselves in situations to be prepared for short distance situations, whether it's 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5. So my mindset is, what's the difference with 4th and 5 or 4th and 4? If you have something that you've repped and it's worked for you, why not utilize it? I mean, me personally, I just think it comes down the distance. I don't really get caught up into the whole analytic part because, I mean, let's be real. I feel like when it comes to analytics, is similar to technology. Like, yes, it's elite, it's potent, but you still will have that 1 or 2 glitch at some point. Are you going to be prepared for that glitch?
Okay.
And if you're not, then it's going to be a failure. But if you are, you'll be considered a great coach or a great offensive coordinator or a great play caller or a great whatever. I feel like that's kind of like how football is.
So you're talking more about like if like you prepare for those situations kind of beforehand, right? And it's in a script that you have plays ready to go on a 4th and 3 situation. If you decide to go for it, this is your go-to play that you're going to go to, right? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like based off of the field and what's going on in the game?
You kind of have a bank of plays that you can use short down distance. And then it also comes to the point of you having confidence and believing in your guys. If you know you have a strong offensive line, and we have, like, for example, like the team that I coach for now, Sarasota High, we have a 3-headed monster as far as backfield wise. All 3 backs will get you at least 6+ yards every touch. We have an O-line that's driving off the ball. We have receivers that can catch the ball and run routes. We have a young quarterback, but he can definitely put it there. So whatever we decide to rely on, I feel like 4th and 5, 4th and 6, 4th and 8, I feel like we can get it. The camp that I told you about that we went to this summer, it was 3rd and 9. We was in the situation against another team. It was 3rd and 9. We called a running play. First down. It's just, I think it just depends on what you have personnel-wise on your roster and just understanding down the distance.
Okay. What about you, Coach Drew? What do you think about when it comes into this? I know that you've been in this situation in high school. I know that you've been, sitting there and having to decide whether you should go for it. What goes into your decision making and how you kind of go about it? Do you use some analytics? Did you ever have any of that stuff? Guys that were in your ear saying, "Hey, we're 75% on 4th down," or what are your thoughts?
BP, you said this is Brandon Staley?
Yeah, Coach Brandon Staley of the Chargers.
The Chargers, right? Man, that really sucks because I really liked the Chargers a couple weeks ago until I just read that story, and it almost put me to damn sleep because the Chargers aren't going to do anything over the next 3 years because nobody's going to want to play for this man because he's so boring. He just put me to sleep with his analytics, all right? No, I didn't use analytics when I was deciding on going for it on 4th down. Coach Rick, you hit the nail on the head, man. It's a feel that you got to have amongst your team. It's there. Too many people get wrapped up in these numbers, and 60% of the time it works. 50% of the time, like it's not. That's not how it works, man. If you got 4th and 7 and you're on the -30, you're punting the ball. Like I don't think it's rocket science, and I don't know how it worked out with this coach.
So let me give you some context here real quick, Drew, because so the reason this article kind of got written was because they had a game against the Raiders late in the season. They were on their minus 18-yard line, so in their own territory, and it was a 4th and 3 situation. And they went for it in their own situation, and they were down a field goal, okay? And this is late in the game. I believe it was 5 minutes left to go, third quarter. They still had a lot of football to go, but if you don't get it, you're basically, in my mind, that's a high percentage of them, scoring a touchdown on you. And so he got a lot of blowback for it, for it because it didn't work for him in certain times in prime time, but there were times where it did work, like 5 times in a row. So he's saying, it does work out if I can increase my win probability by, let's say, 15% if I get it in 2 yards. And I'm with you, Drew, on this.
This
Absolutely.
is like this would be a great idea for me to do, coach in high school, where I don't have to look over my shoulder if I'm going to get fired tomorrow for making a stupid call. But you make too many of these dumbass calls, and you're going to get fired. You go for it on 4th and 3 on your own 18-yard line, and you're going to get fired. Will it work? Yeah. Sometimes, sure. Is it not going to work most of the time? Stop overthinking things, and you're overcomplicating the game, man.
Yep.
That's
Football,
my take on it.
It's easy.
God, that fired me up, man.
I get it.
And that's why I wanted to have that conversation.
I get it from both sides, because it's like I say, I feel like it all boils down to knowing your personnel. It's just your team in general, because it could be 4th and 3 on the 18. And if you don't have confidence in your punt team or your punter, it's like, I don't know. Like, we could punt, but what if he muffs? What if he fumbles the punt, or the long snapper snaps a bad punt, or they don't block? Now we get a touchdown.
Running back trips over the turf or trips.
You're right.
And then you look like a clown.
You're right.
Throw the ball away. Play defense.
Right. I mean, like I say, I feel like it could go both ways.
I'm just saying, you're not gonna have too many defensive coordinators want to come coach for you when you're putting them in spots like that.
You're right. You are right about that.
No, absolutely. And I think you got to have the right guys that are going to be behind you. But it's only a matter of time when you have it's all a gamble when you think about it. It doesn't matter what the analytics say. You can have analytics tell you whatever you want it to tell you. Quite frankly, you can say, oh, if we do sweep right, 60% of the time it turns into 4 yards. Well, what about the other 40% of the time?
Exactly.
And over the span of football's been played a long time. That's a lot of freaking plays, right?
Yep. It's all gamble.
I'm with both of you guys. I'm a big feel guy. So when it comes to the momentum of the game, the situation that you're in, if you're in a gotta have it type of situation, right? I think that you have those emotions that are in there. Analytics aren't going to tell you what those emotions and that momentum is.
At all.
It's not going to tell you. It's just going to tell you numbers, which might help you make a decision. But it's also, unless it's 100% of the time, then I'm better off going off with my gut feeling and what I feel for my players, from what my quarterback's looking at me in the eye. If my running back's tired, if I have a receiver that just ran 3 go routes, and I'm going to put him out there, it's the whole situation. If I got an offensive lineman that just went down, right? It's all what's going on. Maybe I went 0 yards on 1st and 2nd down, and I got 9 yards on 3rd down on a screenplay, just trying to get in field position. Now I'm going to think about going for it on 4th and 1. Am I drunk? Like, no, I'm not going to be going for it in that type of situation. I'm going to be trying to punt the ball away. Now, here's the caveat: if your special teams suck and your punter is not very good, I think that changes the situation too.
It changes the situation a lot.
It depends on what your special teams, how you feel about them, and everything like that. But when I read this, it fired me up too, because I was like, I don't give a damn what that model says. My job's on the line, and if I'm coming home and I'm going to get fired, and I got to look my wife and kid in the eye and say, hey, we're moving away from Los Angeles because these analytics are full of it. You know what I mean? I'd rather have it be, it's on me. And I feel like it gives you an out too. It gives you an out. Well, the analytics told me to go for it. So I'm sorry, guys. No, it was you that made the call. You made the call, had the balls to say that you made the call, and it didn't work out. Right. So I'm with you. I think football is a big field game, and people try to overcomplicated at times and try to turn it into something. And I'm all great with trying to think about the game differently. I mean, this is high speed chess, right? We're always trying to get an advantage somewhere, however it is. So I totally get it, but man, that fired me up when I read that, because I completely disagreed with it. Unbelievable. We got Woodrow Piney in here. He's a big Los Angeles Chargers fan. If Staley can't win with his team this year, he's hopeless. Special team was god awful last year for the Chargers. So maybe that went into a lot of that.
Last year we didn't have a very good punter, and instead of going for it every fourth down, as a coach, we made some freaking adjustments and put a wide receiver back there, and we ran rugby punt and installed rugby punt, and now it's either a wide receiver who can either run the ball if he's got the option or he's got the opening, or just rugby punt it and kick it 30 yards, because any competent person can kick the ball 30 yards. Like,
definitely have to adjust.
Hey,
I agree with you.
I'm not a big fan of special teams, Drew. Not a big fan of special teams. I am. I mean, I just feel like football is three elements: defense, offense, special teams. Because if you can get those special teams splash plays, whether it's punt return, punt block, kickoff, fumble, kickoff return, like that adds to the game. Because let's be real, just within offense and defense, the game really is really dependent on like 5 plays. 5 to 6.
If you're not blowing anybody out,
I think
if you're not blowing anybody out, it's like 5 plays.
Is so important.
Yeah. Well, I bet you John Kilbasi, being a Packers fan, can tell you how important special teams is. 4 minutes left, punt block, the 49ers score, tie the game up with 4 minutes to go. We couldn't move the ball, really before then. It's huge, and it makes or breaks games. But when it comes to going for it on fourth down, I definitely think it's part of it. But I want to move on because I want to play this clip by Jordan Davis. Drew, this was something that we talked about a little bit last week when we were playing the clips. We said, hey, man, did you see that clip of Jordan Davis really kind of driving his guy back? But he had something, special to say, and I want to bring this up here, and let's give it a listen here.
Night you against Jurgens went a little viral. What's that like when it comes up in the film room? Your room?
I hate it, honestly. I just feel like it's very one-sided. You see one rep, but you don't see Cam just blocking me and getting me at practice and getting me in the other reps. So I always say looks can be deceiving. So one rep and it goes viral, whatever, whoop de whoop. But Cam is holding his own. He's a very good player, and it's just good competition. It's iron on iron. So you see the background of everything, but don't let the hype get to you.
I thought that was awesome. I mean, this is a rookie that's coming in who blew everybody away at the combine, and he gets his 7-second clip that starts to go viral because he's pushing back a well-known player back. And he says something like that. Drew, you live in that area. What were your thoughts when you first when you saw the clip and then when you heard him say that?
When I saw the clip, I thought the same thing that basically he said. I'm like, wow, that guy just got worked, but what happened the rest of the time? And I take this, and I love the fact that he came out and showed the maturity on his interviews and stuff like that, and was like, dude, you're only seeing one piece of everything that happens, and that's it's a touch on like social media, and we're sometimes we're guilty of it here, man. Like, dude, I tell my daughter all the time, my 14-year-old daughter, I tell her all the time, the thirst for validation on social media is so crazy right now. It's so really unbelievable. So somebody's putting out a post of Jordan Davis smoking that guy one time, but there's nothing else about all the other times. Yeah. How many reps do you take in a practice? At least a couple hundred. At least
one time, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Right. What do you say?
Yeah. Said one time he's a Hall of Famer. He hasn't even played down in the NFL yet at that point.
But guess what? That's what gets the clicks. That's what gets people talking, and that's what's important to people in this day and age. And it's a shame. And I applaud that 21, 22-year-old Jordan Davis for stepping up and shutting it down and saying, "Hey, man, listen, like, there's a lot more that goes on that you guys don't talk about. So maybe you should start talking about that. And I'm all for that, man, because the quest for validity on social media bothers me.
It's not just football. It gets people going.
Gets the people going. Oh man, bro, that brings it back.
We talk about it in our group chat, bro. You're trying to give people we're trying to give people clout that don't deserve it.
Absolutely. Hey, I'll tell you though, it's no shock that clip comes out of Eagles camp, right? It's no shock that everybody is
We're
excited.
Just stand-up people over here in the Northeast, that's all. In the Philly region, bro. We're just hard worker and honest people, bro.
You guys threw snowballs at Santa Claus. You can't.
Listen, he deserved it. Right?
Santa Claus walking down
I said I didn't want socks for Christmas, so I hit that. Oh, you're talking about the Eagles game. All right, my bad. I thought you were talking about. Yeah, those Eagles fans are crazy, bro.
I thought it was cool because to me, and we talk about it. We've talked about it. It brings us together, right? Like as far as we had a connection as teammates, we got along. It kind of brought something up to me as far as what he did right there is something that I believe that sports kind of teaches kids. And that's why I think it's so important for kids to play a sport, and I'm big passionate about football. Obviously, I think there's so many lessons that I've learned, but the lesson that he just taught some kids, right, in a press conference about being a great teammate. Slick, what is part of being a good teammate? Like what are some attributes that you look for, like on your team or even within the coaching staff? Like what are some really good attributes that you look for in a teammate or some that you bring to a locker room yourself?
For me, when I played, and especially in today's game, I look more for guys that lead by example, lead with action. You can be verbal all day. You can be a vocal guy. But if you're not setting the standard in action, how can you ask for anybody to follow behind you? Or how can you be considered a leader? Like when I played, as far as being a leader, I wasn't really vocal. Every now and then I might get in that mode where I might say something. But for the most part, I'm going to just line up on the field and just do what I do. And once I get into the mix of things, I'm going to hold everybody accountable. But I wasn't a big rah-rah, let's do this, let's do that. I mean, you can vouch for me. Like when we played before the game, I was in my own zone. Like you would come to me all the time and be like, Slick, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Like you might think that I'm like different or I'm off, but like, yeah, I'm in my own zone. Like
I knew you were good when you started swagging. When you started swag surfing, I knew you were ready to go.
I'm in my own vibe. So it's like, once those lights come on or once that whistle's blown, like I'm good. And I kind of like look for my guys to be the same way, especially like in today's world, because you have a lot of kids that's into the social media. They're into the whole likes and how many likes I can get and how many views I can get. So a lot of them do a lot of stuff or say a lot of stuff or post a lot of stuff just for likes or for people to be like, oh, that guy there, he's this type of guy, or he's really putting this work in, or he's really doing whatever, when in reality, he really isn't. So I'm more of an action guy. Like show me, like basically put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, show me what you're talking about. If you're saying that you're a guy, let me see the work that you're putting in. If you're not putting that type of work in, you can't ask for those type of results back. Because
absolutely
all three of us know football or anything just in life in general, it's going to give you back what you put in.
For real. What do you think, Drew? Like
reality of it.
That really well said, by the way, Slick.
I agree with you, Rick. And dude, just like to touch on a couple things, and tell you a little story. Back when I was playing in high school, man, there was a guy on our team who, didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but he came and he worked hard every freaking day, man, and really got the coach's attention. And he wasn't getting the playing time that he liked. So myself as a captain, man, I took it upon myself. I went in and I knocked on the coach's door in the office and I dropped my jersey down. And
oh my God. Oh, I was going to say, this really? Sounds a lot like Rudy.
No, I didn't drop my jersey down. Freaking Rudy again, man. He got me. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously though, bro. Dude, and this is my honest take on it. I think in today's society, the way the game is, everybody
Bro, I lost it on
in
that
today's
one.
society. Everybody wants their film, especially in high school. And I'm not talking, on college a little bit worse, or I'm sorry, a little bit better. NFL, you're already there. So, but coaching in high school, yes, everybody wants film. So everybody's doing something to get seen. Nobody's doing and let me correct myself, not nobody, but it's hard to find that unselfish teammate who's willing to sacrifice himself in order for the team to be successful. All right. I came across a couple kids over the last 4 years when I was coaching in high school that said, Coach, I don't give a crap, good players. I don't give a crap how much I touch the ball as long as we win. And it's hard to find that now because everybody wants film. Everybody wants offers. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants that. And it's a lot about me, and not about us. And that's a problem that I think that a lot of coaches and teams are running into. Like Rick said, man, you got these guys posting on Twitter. They're grinding, blah, blah, blah. No, they're grinding you're grinding for 25 seconds while you're on film. Exactly. And how long does it take you to set up your camera and all that stuff? What do you like?
Yep. Wasting your time.
Crazy, man.
No, absolutely. I think to me, what it kind of comes down to is, especially these guys that are in the spotlight, especially these young guys, it's impressive because when you really think about the situation that they're in, these guys are young guys that just had their life change because they've been presented with an amount of money that the average person does not get sometimes in their entire lifetime. And they're just young kids coming out of college. Yep. And we don't know what all their background. Every background's different. Some backgrounds are worse off than others, right? So all of a sudden you got this kid up there and he has this viral clip. And really what the media is poking at is, I want to hear you say that you blew his ass up. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over again. And for him to respond that way, because if he responded that way, it would have hurt his reputation within that locker room, which is what matters.
But they got their story, right?
Yep. But they got the story. It's going to blow up. Stephen A. Smith is going to go off and he's going to talk about it. But what he did was, Skip. Oh, it's my turn. It's my turn.
Skip.
It's funny how we haven't heard much of that story since he came out praising his teammate.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. I bet you that we haven't seen that clip, or not a lot of people have seen this clip because he praised his teammates rather than take a shot that somebody else would have. But yeah, I'm a big lead by example guy. I mean, I think both you guys know I can be vocal at times, but I think you got to lay that foundation down. And what Jordan Davis did, I promise you, it will pay dividends as he continues throughout his career because guys are going to remember that.
Dude, if some of those young guys can see that clip and learn something from that clip and say, hey, maybe it is cool to be unselfish and to think about other people, dude, I think we'll be a lot better off moving forward because sometimes it's scary, bro.
Oh, absolutely. All right, boys. Well, we're moving on to a next segment, which is called our 2-minute drill. We'll explain it this week. I didn't do a good job of explaining it last week, but basically I'm going to go real quick and talk about 4 or 5 hot topics that have happened within the last couple days. Just get you guys up to date with things that are kind of going on. And of course, if I'm going to do it, I got to have a sick beat. Torn meniscus. No additional damage was found. Joe Flacco is the expected starter for their Week 1 matchup against Flacco's former team, the Baltimore Ravens. The Los Angeles Chargers announced today that they have signed safety Derwin James to a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. This deal makes James the highest paid safety in NFL history per Adam Schefter. Rams quarterback Matt Stafford, who has been dealing with elbow tendonitis in his throwing elbow, stated he is on track for their season opener against the Buffalo Bills. Stafford did go on to add that he will not be putting a timetable on the injury and is unsure if it'll be something that will linger for the duration of the season. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Mecole Hardman left practice today early, was carted off, and is being evaluated for a groin injury. Per Ian Rappaport, the severity of the injury is unknown at this time. So that'll get you up to date with everything that kind of happened today and going into preseason week 3. Boys, how do you think I did? I feel like I did pretty good. I mean, if that was a 2-minute drive, I feel like we scored a touchdown right there. What do you guys think?
We got tackled on the 20-yard line because your mic cut out at the beginning of the segment again.
Oh my sweet death, Drew! Give me your thoughts on Zach Wilson as far as
BP, I'm with you. I'm with you, BP.
Hey,
Hey.
There
we go.
Damn, Rick, you're jacked, cuz. Do that again, man. Good. You been working out, bro? You been working out? You been working out with the kids? Anyway, so hey, I'm gonna keep it quick. If it's a 2-minute drill, I gotta keep it 2 minutes. Zach Wilson, you never want to. Go ahead, man. You never want to wish ill will on anybody. No injuries. I'm glad to hear that he didn't tear his ACL. I'll tell you who's not glad to hear that he didn't tear his ACL is the entire Jets fan base, because that means he's coming back quicker than he has to.
Oh my God, you're so salty, bro. You're about as salty as that tequila I'm gonna have here in a little bit. Drew or Rick, tell me what you think about Derwin James getting broke off today.
For me, I like it because he definitely has an elite talent. But at the same time, he hasn't been 100% healthy since he's been in the NFL. So if you get a healthy Derwin James throughout the season, I definitely feel like he will solidify the reason why they gave him that bag. But if he doesn't, which last year he was coming into the season, he was a top safety, but he didn't finish the season. Then that's when the front office will start having to ask some questions like, is this the guy that we should have invested our money in? Or, I hope he stays healthy. I mean, I'm not a Florida State fan, but at the same time, I do respect talent. Like, he gave Miami
all my
problems.
timeouts.
Yeah, you can't keep Ricky use all my timeouts. Ricky, it's a flash round, bro. Keep it moving, dog.
My bad. I'm just speaking how I apologize.
You know why? It's because he's a Florida State guy, and I know that you got that U behind you.
Dude, I saw him going in heavy on a Twitter exchange about Florida State and Miami this week.
Hey, but you know what? That was, like I told BP earlier, that was with my brother, and that was with wifey.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So it wasn't like randoms. It wasn't with randoms. It wasn't with randoms. Both of them are FSU fans.
Yeah. Tell wifey she's invited, and we can talk this out.
Absolutely.
We talk cash money all day, all season.
I'll throw out my thoughts on Matt Stafford. I hope his throwing arm falls off. He's in my division. They won the Super Bowl. They don't need him this next year. But
talk about an unbiased host, you know.
Exactly. I will tell you, Drew, I wanted to ask your opinion on this. Elbow tendonitis in your throwing arm is not it's not a joke.
So here's the thing with with that. Now, when I hear anything about elbow pain or with quarterbacks, it means it's something funky in the mechanics, man. So and thinking back and watching Stafford, there's a lot of times where he's dropping down and throwing sidearm 3/4. Dude, that puts extra torque on that elbow. And I tell my kids that I train all the time, you got to come over the top because if you're throwing sidearm, it looks cool on TV, but you're putting so much torque on that elbow. And as a quarterback, your elbow should never be sore. All right. Your shoulders get sore, whatever. Your biceps get a little sore, but your elbow should never be sore because you shouldn't be throwing a ball like that. So, dude, just like a pitcher, anytime you hear, forearm tightness or elbow tightness, man, you get a little nervous.
Yeah, those are baseball injuries.
Something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And Slick, last but not least, McCole Hardman going down, being evaluated for a groin injury. I feel like every bit as important as an arm is to a quarterback, I feel like that groin injury is something that could potentially linger throughout the season, especially for a wide receiver. What do you think?
Of course. Especially the fact that he's a speedster. Speed is his strength. Like, yes, he can run good routes, he can catch the ball, he can make plays, but he has to be fast because he's an undersized receiver. Let's just be honest. And he was on the verge of being Kansas City's probably their number one guy. Kind of like we talked about earlier, I think, week 1, when I said that I feel like he can kind of replace Tyreek Hill. Yes, he's not Tyreek Hill, but he has Tyreek Hill like type ability to where he could bring to their offense. So now that he's down with a groin injury, you don't know when you're going to get a full Hardman. Like, yes, he may go through rehab and do whatever the case may be,
Hey, you guys bust me up on when I say throwing a good ball. You said a full Hardman.
Yeah.
Bro, that
Rickie,
got me.
Why are you getting a full Hardman?
Slick, that got me. That absolutely got me. Oh my God. A full Hardman. Bro, that's going on some clips that we're
100% Hardman. Sorry.
100%.
Not a half. Not a half.
Oh my God. I need a timeout, bro. Call timeout.
Change subject.
I'll tell you what,
subject.
our 2-minute drill sucks. We went 7 minutes. We went 7 minutes.
It's fine.
That's all right. It's all good. We'll
as long as we got that hard man, we're good.
We'll move on to our AFC South preview, bro. That was
just hit the next slide, Brandon.
Yeah. Oh my God, really? All right, so let's talk real quick. We got Jacksonville Jaguars. They have some additions. So they had the number 1 overall pick for a reason. They picked Trayvon Walker, defensive end from Georgia, and also in the first round they picked Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. I think their biggest addition was of subtraction when they got rid of Urban Meyer and they hired Doug Peterson as their head coach. What are your guys' thoughts on the Jacksonville Jaguars, their outlook on this season? What do you guys think?
Me or you, Rick? I'll go first. I want to talk about Dougie P because Philly guy. Dude, I think Peterson got the short end of the stick here in Philadelphia. Honestly, I think they drove him out of town. He won the first Super Bowl here in history, and then they're gonna let this guy go. I'm excited to see what the Jaguars do. I don't think they're a great team, but hey, Kabasi, why don't you put a lid on it now? All right. Anyway, I'm excited to see what the Jaguars do, man. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if I'm a huge believer. I've never been a big fan of like those 6'7", 6'6" quarterbacks. But curious to see what he's going to do. But I know one thing for sure is these guys are going to rally around Doug. He's a player's coach, and I'm excited to see what they can do. I think they're definitely going. I don't think they're finishing last in this division, if that makes any sense.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into that.
Slick, what do you think, man?
Me personally, I don't really see too much improving with the Jaguars. I don't. I mean, yeah, they have Trevor Lawrence. They got ETN. I don't know. New head coach. I don't think I don't think he's going to come and just make a big impact. I think they'll still be 5, maybe 6 win type team.
I think it's a stretch too, because I think Urban Meyer left such a big culture issue there that when Doug Peterson comes in, I think that's going to definitely help. But it's a project, man. I mean, they had the number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row now, where they picked Trevor Lawrence and Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker, it was supposed to be Aiden Hutchinson that was going to go number 1. That was supposed to be the consensus. And then as it got closer to the draft, you keep hearing about Trayvon Walker. Now their GM is Trent Baalke, and he has a past of really reaching on some players. But overall, like when I look at this team, I feel like they have a lot of young guys. They also spent a ton of money on Christian Kirk. It was like an $86 million deal to get Christian Kirk to come there and that's wide receiver 1 money.
I like him. So, isn't he from Arizona?
He's from Arizona. Yeah, but they paid him like the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he was like a number 3.
Because Shad Khan is loaded, dude, and money is just fun tokens.
There's a cap.
There's a cap. They're not anywhere near it.
Kirk is definitely a number 3. I don't think he's number 2. He's a number 3.
He might be a number 3 on the Eagle there, Rick, if we can go back to that conversation. But
he's a number 1.
Could be. He's
a number
1 on the Jaguars.
They got Marvin Jones, they got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Laviska Shenault. They got Laquan Treadwell. They got a lot of guys that are out there to prove themselves. But overall, I see this team being 4 wins. I don't, even with the Texans there, I do think the Texans might end up being a better football team, which we'll talk about right now. The Houston Texans. Now, this is a team that has kind of gone through it too. They picked Derek Stingley, cornerback from LSU, with the 3rd overall pick. They also had another first rounder, Kenyon Green. That was part of the Deshaun Watson trade, I do believe. Yes. They also traded Randall Cobb to Green Bay, so he's no longer there. That was part of last year. But Brandon Cooks has been the guy that has stood out there for a while, and I do think that they might have a guy in what's his name here, David Mills. They also brought in
quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback. So they have a lot of guys that are there on 1 to 2 year deals. But Brandon Cooks had a good season last year. I don't know. What do you guys think about him? Their head coach is I'm trying to think of what it's Lovie Smith. So he was the head coach of the Bears for a long time. So
Yeah, went to Illinois, and
he did real well there too.
Yeah,
that was complete sarcasm for those.
I know. I saw your emoji eyes.
I saw his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you're talking about Lovey. Like, how many times do these guys get a runaround in the NFL? The same old recycled guys. I follow Jason Brown on Twitter. Like, not always the best viewpoints, but he's not wrong when he says it's the same guys who get jobs all the time. Man, like, I'm not a Lovie Smith fan, but you talk about the Texans. Like, dude, Davis Mills is your quarterback, so I don't see a whole lot happening here. And I mentioned when I touched on the Jaguars that they're not going to finish last in the division. I see the Jaguars maybe with 5-6 wins possibly. I see the Texans with 3 or 4 wins. So I do think they they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel of a sad division.
They could be. They showed a lot of fight last year. That was something that I saw. Even when they played against the 49ers, they did come out and they played really tough. Davis Mills isn't a bad quarterback. Like, out of that quarterback class, he actually played pretty well for a rookie last year. So he impressed me, but he has kind of gone under the radar. Coach Rick, what are your thoughts on the Texans going into 2022?
Same as Drew said. I don't feel like they have really too many guys on offense or defense. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, Mills isn't a bad quarterback, but I don't feel like he has enough weapons on the perimeter, and I don't feel like their run game is potent. And on defense, I don't feel like they really have any guys as well. The safety Reed, I know he's at
Kansas City.
I just watched him play the other day. So it's like that was one of their main
field goal.
Yeah, he kicked the field goal. Exactly. That was one of their main guys on defense. So now that he's going, like, I don't know, JJ Watson, he's in Arizona now? Like,
yeah,
you really don't have too much on the defensive or offensive side. You got Cooks, but, like, again, I feel like, yes, he's fast and he can stretch the field, but because of his height and size, I feel like if you put a true number 1 on that roster, he's a number 2.
Cooks?
Yes.
Man, he's had like 1,000-yard here. Let me just bring up his.
Yeah, well, that's with Drew Brees. You got 3 guys catching for 1,000 yards with Brees.
Let's see here. Okay, so he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons out of his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons in the NFL. So 6 out of 8, 1,000 yards. The last 2 were actually.
How many were with Brees?
2 with Brees, 1 with Brady, and then 1 with Jared Goff. The one with Jared Goff, that was his biggest season.
Yeah, who throws 700 times a year.
He had 80 catches. He had 81 in 2020 for 1,150 yards, and then 1,037 last year on 90 catches. Touchdowns, he had 6 each of the last 2 years. But yeah, I mean, I get it, but he's consistently produced. He's been the only guy. So I guess when that ball's coming to you 90 times, you're gonna have 1,000 yards, right?
Yes, he's a number consistent. 1. He's the number 1 receiver on the Texans. That's correct.
Yeah, he's the number 1 receiver on the Texans. But again, to what Drew just said, if you look at the teams that he played for previously, he has number 1 guy stats. But his stats came because he was really the number 2, and it's a mismatch in the slot. Or he's one of those guys where you can move around,
right?
Put him in motion, go from the slot to the outside, whatever the case may be.
4 wins for the Texans.
4 wins. We'll keep it slight.
Yeah, I'm with Drew, 3 to 4.
I'd say 4 to 5 with them. I see them and Jacksonville kind of going back and forth all year for the cellar of the AFC South. Now we get into it right here with the Colts. So the Colts bring in Matt Ryan. They made a big trade with Atlanta to bring him in. I honestly felt like they were a quarterback away last year when Carson Wentz was there. Matter of fact, Carson completely just crapped the bed in that last game against Jacksonville.
He's awful.
God awful. So
He's
they bring in Matt Ryan.
He's a terrible quarterback.
Ryan. They have, I think, the best running back in the league in Jonathan Taylor.
South Jersey represent.
I think this is a dark horse team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's where I'm standing on them. What do you guys think?
I agree. I was going to say the same thing, man. Them getting rid of Wentz was the best possible thing they could have done because, obviously we'll go back to it. Growing up, I live in the Philly suburb. I've seen enough of Wentz, and I wasn't high on him coming out of college. Nobody trusts those North Dakota State quarterbacks. They're not any good. No offense, Trey Lance. He's awful.
Shots fired.
He's terrible.
We'll talk about it this year, bro.
I seen a clip. My boy, shout out to Montre Wright, head coach of Salem High School, where Jonathan Taylor is from, South Jersey, friend of mine. He posted a clip. Well, he reposted a clip the other day of some of Taylor's highlights from high school, and this guy is just a machine, man. He's was ridiculous. Dominant. He was dominant in high school. He's dominant in college, and he's dominant in the NFL. And he's fun to watch. And he's going to be the number one fantasy pick in a lot of drafts. All drafts, it should be.
Do you think he gets 2,000 this year?
He could with Matt, but with Ryan there, I don't think you need 2,000. What?
Slick. Nah.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. He could, but he doesn't need it because Matty Ice is coming in, and he ain't going to be a no game manager. He's going to be a little bit above that.
See, I think Matt Ryan is gonna. I think they're still gonna be. I don't want to say run heavy, but I do think that they're going to be focused a lot on the run because that's just how they're built. When you look outside, they don't have. I mean, they got Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman, those type of guys, but I do think they're based off of the run, but their defense.
T.Y. Hilton still there?
No, he's still a free agent according to this.
Free agent.
Yep. So I think we agree. I think I got 12 wins for the Colts.
I could see them AFC Championship, Bengals, Colts. Market.
Okay, calling it.
Or
what do you got?
Chargers, guys? But I did like the Chargers until that story put me to sleep earlier.
What do you got, Slick, on the Colts?
Same thing what Drew said. They got Matt Ryan. I feel like he does bring something to the table as far as the pass game goes. Based off of what the Colts has brought to the table last year and the year before, they're a run team with Hines and Taylor. Defense in the preseason so far, the defense looked like they have added a couple guys, and they've been stepping it up.
Yeah, they brought in Yannick Ngakoue along, so they got DeForest Buckner, Yannick Ngakoue on the same line.
Ngakoue.
Yeah, he's good.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm just proud I said his name right.
Yeah, me too.
Nice. So I think I honestly have them picked to win this division, which would mean that we think the Tennessee Titans are going to take a step back. They were the number one seed in the AFC this last season. A lot of people forget that because they didn't quite, finish the job.
Ooh,
they didn't get it done.
John says 11-6 Colts. I don't know, man.
I got them at 12. I got 12 wins. I got them
at
12.
I got them at 17-0.
No, you do.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't know, man. 12's not out of the question. Titans, I was looking back, getting ready for the show, man. Like the Titans, I don't know how they had 12 wins last year. I'm not a big dude. I love Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry's a horse. He can't stay healthy. But I'm not a big Tannehill guy. Never have been.
Right.
So I
feel like he's a game manager.
Yeah, no, we talk a lot about that on this show. As a game manager, but where are we at? Here we go. Dude, 21 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, and you guys know that I'm a big TD to interception ratio kind of guy. That's one stat that I do care about. I'm not a Tannehill lover, and I hate Mike Vrabel, so I don't see.
You hate Mike Vrabel. Why do you hate Mike Vrabel?
Because he's a total friggin' bro. He's an absolute bro, and I can't stand it.
Shots fired. I will tell you this. I think they lost a lot on the offense when they lost A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. I know Julio Jones was hurt a lot last year, but I think A.J. Brown's going to be big because those guys were able to take some of the pressure off Derrick Henry, especially when he was hurt last year, right? Now you don't have those guys. If Tannehill has a bad couple games.
Yeah, at the most important time. Can't get through the meat of the season. Yeah, well, he's unreliable. No, I'm just kidding. I love Derrick Henry. I really do.
Derrick Henry's a beast. My thing with him is that it's only going to be a matter of time that he's had a lot of carries, especially the last 4 years. And the way that you look, this is a stat that I do care about. I was a running back. I care about this. The shelf life of running backs is not that long, and he's already been over what the average shelf life is. It's only a matter of time.
And he's extra large, too. Like, you got to factor that in.
Yeah.
Like, he's 6'3".
Was he 260?
Yeah, he's 6'3", 260. Like, it doesn't last long.
After a while, the battering ram is going to fall apart. What do you got on this Slick?
Yeah, but no, and the reason why I say that is because he's not your average back. So in reality, a lot of guys do not want to hit him versus someone like a Taylor, where he's your average size back, where he's eye level with a lot of guys. So they're teeing off on him, tackling him, hitting, whatever the case may be. He's 6'3". A lot of guys are getting out the way when he's coming through full head of steam. And he has a vicious stiff arm. So, I mean, yes, you can put the limit with the running backs, but I feel like the size that he has, I feel like he'll probably last a little longer.
Rick, can you turn that around though? Him being 6'3" now, and dude, what's the only way to chop down a tree, man? It's from
ankles
so
and
now
knees.
You're taking out ankles and knees, and that might deplete the shelf life of a running back faster than somebody like Taylor who can brace for impact.
You're right. That definitely can play a role, but I don't know. I feel like it's like one of those 50-50 situations. Because like you said, you can't have smaller DBs who will try to chop that tree. But at the same time, you might have guys who try to chop the tree, and again, they turn into a Josh Norman.
Oh, man. Posterized just with the stiff arm. That was...
Talk about shots fired.
That was something there. That was something there.
That goes viral.
My take on these guys is right now with both of those weapons of Julio Jones, A.J. Brown leaving, puts it more on Henry, whose shelf life is really more towards the latter stages of the peak of his career than it was last year or even the year before, right? And then that means that you're putting a lot on Ryan Tannehill, who threw 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions last year. I think it's only a matter of time. This AFC is stacked. They're going to have to play the Colts twice, which have always traditionally give them fits, even when they haven't been good. I wonder, in my mind, if Malik Willis starts playing his ass off this preseason and keeps going the way that he was, and Tannehill may struggle without his weapons, I start to wonder what that looks like as far as, I mean, it's a good thing they didn't pick him in the first round because it won't be near as loud, but people are going to be, hey, where's this guy that's running around? Maybe he gives us an extra dimension on offense, right? We know that that's going to happen. So that's something to keep your eye on. But I do think the Colts overtake this division, but because the Jags and the Texans are so bad, I think the Titans are right there at number 2. The Titans are still going to have an opportunity, right? They got to play the Colts twice. Those are games, but
you are pissing this person off here.
I don't care if you played without all those weapons last year. You were the number 1 seed, and what happened in the playoffs? What happened in the
playoffs, right?
The fact that the Titans went 12-5 last year.
Yeah, people forget that. But I don't. Okay. So here's the thing: did you get better or worse this offseason?
Worse.
I think they got worse. So I think the Colts got better. So therefore, I do think that the Colts are going to overtake it. I think the Titans still have an opportunity.
No.
I like Vrabel, but He's a player's guy. I like Vrabel.
Yeah,
I like Vrabel. So that's what we got for the AFC South. We're going to be moving over towards the NFC next week. You say we do. You want to skip through two of them next week, or do you want to save that for later on in the preseason? We're going to have a lot to cover. I think next week.
Let's do the. Let's have some fun and do the NFC East next week.
All right,
and we'll do one, NFC. And we'll do two in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. So we'll do the NFC East next week. I'm excited about that.
NFC East, big show for us, baby.
Big show, baby.
Let's go.
Big show. Well, that's our next topic is our hot shots of the week.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
All right, Drew. I know this one. I'm going to give this one to you. This is something that you ran across that you sent over to me a little bit before the show. Go ahead. You got your opportunity. What is your hot shot of the week?
Yeah. So I was struggling, man. I was struggling to find a hot shot this week. I had a couple different candidates and stuff, but I saw this story today, driving home, and it was, tugging on my heartstrings hard. I told you guys via text, dude, being a dad really changes you. So this is a picture of a 12-year-old Little League baseball player named Easton Oliverson. So he plays for the Snow Canyon Little League All-Star team, which is competing right now in the Little League World Series. So Easton was in the dorms up at Williamsport in the dormitory for the World Series, getting ready to play his game, and in his sleep fell out of his top bunk and suffered a severe head injury, brain injury, and was in critical condition. I was reading the Instagram that he ruptured an artery in his brain, and the doctors actually had to go in and remove a piece of his skull to free up some pressure and stuff like that. My hot shot of the week, after seeing, the mother posting that Easton is doing a lot better. Well, he's not out of the woods by any means, but he's responsive. They took the ventilator out. They took they took him off. I guess he was on oxygen and stuff like that, and the breathing tube. They took that out. So my hot shot of the week goes to Easton here, and I will be making a donation on behalf of the Backyard Blitz podcast to Easton's Venmo and GoFundMe to help with his recovery and stuff like that. So Easton, man, this one's for you. You're in my prayers. You're in a lot of people's prayers, man. Get well soon.
That's awesome, man. I'll take my shot to that as well. I do have a different hot shot, but I'm going to take my shot to that. Get well soon, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's just different without the lime. Jesus. All right, Slick. I'm gonna go last this time. What do you got for your hot shot of the week?
Hey man, we've been talking about it all day today. High school football.
Ooh.
For the state of Florida. First live actual game in the state of Florida this Friday for everyone. I'm just glad it's back. My shot goes to NFL football, high school football, college football. We're back.
Football,
We're back,
football.
baby.
I love it.
Football. Hell yeah.
That was a total bro comment too. Football, right?
Like football, not like soccer.
Yeah. Football. We love football.
Yeah.
We have very low SAT score.
Oh, get out of here with that junk. Analytics, bro. Analytics.
Yeah,
it's in
exactly.
the game. It's in the game. All right, my hot shot of the week goes to a rookie that was drafted in the 5th round out of Toledo that it looks like he's going to win the starting nickel spot for the San Francisco 49ers. He had 2 interceptions in his preseason game. Yeah, 2 interceptions. It was unbelievable. One of them he wrestled away from the receiver. Another one he just jumped the route. To see that from a rookie in the 5th round kind of make the most of his opportunity. Matter of fact, the guy that was that was slotted all off season to be in that number 1 spot was actually cut this week based off of his name is Samuel Womack. out of Toledo, 5th round
Good old
pick.
Sammy Womack.
Sammy Womack. Here is my hot shot of the week. I already took my shot, but I will take another drink.
All right, Sammy Womack, Toledo, putting the Mac on the map.
Putting the Mac on the map, baby.
Little Sammy action there.
Hell yeah. So, hey, we went through a lot of stuff today. This was a hell of a show. I had a blast as usual. We had another Rudy reference in there coming out of nowhere.
That was a true story, bro.
Hey, we got to bring this up. This is
that the side.
What do you call a hippie's wife? Mississippi.
Oh my God. Well, with that said, next week we're going to be covering the NFC East, and that is going to be one hell of a fun show, boys.
You know it is.
That music hits. You know that we're on our way out. Make sure that you catch us every week, and do us a favor. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review. We appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving us. But until next week, we are out. Say hello to Mississippi for me there, Drew.
What up, Mississippi?